Hi, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are joining us from. It is lovely to have you here for this is our St. Patrick's Day special edition of This Is Knit Live. We are going to be having two wonderful guests with us this evening. One, I can call her wonderful, even though she was giving out to me just before this. Is Jenny, my sister, dyer extraordinaire of Townhouse Yarns, and we're also going to be joined by Tara of Irish Artisan Yarns from her studio in County Down. So this is your opportunity to ask them questions about the world of hand dyeing, their lives, their day-to-day. What's a routine in the life of a hand dyer of Irish Yarns? Let's find out. I hope that you are all set for the Patrick's weekend, that you are resting and relaxing now, whatever your plans are. It's lovely. I can see people joining from all over. We've got Carol joining from Virginia. We have people joining from everywhere. Usually there's loads of them coming up, but we are coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio. Hello. Well, we're coming to you from This Is Knit in Dublin, in Ireland, and what we do is regularly check in with an hour-long live like this. Sometimes it's special guests, sometimes it's just questions and answers, demonstrations, things like that, but we try and vary it a little bit. And hello to you in Italy, hello. Just to kind of to keep things interesting. And today I did promise that we'd have some special offers and deals for you, of course, because we have because it's St. Patrick's Week and we need to celebrate and honour that. So we have a couple of things to go through with you, and a special discount code for you guys that you can use. So stay tuned for that. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions, whether you're from Finland or Canada, Maryland. It's great to see you all popping up, and if you're watching back as well later on, leave us a comment and let us know where you are in the world. Good question as well. I'm going to have to add that in. So we've got a few to go, but there's a question of, do you ever get burned out from dyeing? So remind me about that one. We won't do it just yet, but we'll bring in Jenny. Say hello to Jenny. There she is.
Hiding in the corner. I thought I'd let Lisa do her spiel first.
There's a spiel. There's a spiel.
Standing here going,
Yeah, we do.
Everybody.
I'm going to get to the scarf. The scarf is going to be featuring in our specials for this evening, so I will give you all of those details. And for a lady who lives her life in colour, she's just come in here all dressed in black today. I need to ask you about
but
that.
I have wings.
But she's got wings. Okay, well I guess we'll let you away from that. Belfast and Turkey. Okay, I'm going to stop calling out international place names now. So thank you for joining us. What I will do, sorry, you're going to have to go for a little while, because I've got one or two quick announcements. So, in fact, one main announcement that's just separate to this, which is that we are hiring for a part-time member of staff, somebody who's a shop assistant and order fulfillment administrator. So there's details of that through the link on our profile. If you want to check it out, if you are local and you'd like to come in and work for us, then be sure to take a look.
Join the crew.
The crew. Yeah. And wew talk about your joining of the crew and how unorthodox maybe that was. So, as well.
I am the perfect example of how much of a nice environment this is, because I arrived just to be a person to help out, and then I never left. So
this is what happens, and it's not unusual either, is that we've got people who've been very regular customers. Let's say Joy as well, and she started off sample knitting for us, and then she exactly
wiggled her way.
We're never letting her go.
No.
so that's an important thing as well. Okay, so we'll start with this one, considering there are a few people asking about it, and then we'll get Tara on, and then we'll jump into questions too. So I will show that at the top of the hour, one of your offers here is that we're going to do pre-orders for this beautiful shawl, which is called the Service shawl, and it uses Clarendon sock and Abbey lace.
Yeah.
And it was designed by Anne-Michelle Phelan, who now works for us as well. And it is just absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And we've added in a lovely forest green shade as well to the kit options. So this little lady right here is going to be changed to dye pots basically for the next couple of weeks, because she is going to basically dye as many of these as you guys want to get. But on an encouraging note, they are now 10% off, and they're going to be 10% off for that kit until Sunday at midnight. Okay, so it is a pre-order, but it's a discounted pre-order. So, and all for these gorgeous colors. So there's this lovely single malt shade, and then the forest color right there as well. So
Lovely deep green.
it's 2 strands held together, 1 strand of Clarendon sock and 1 strand of Abbey lace, and you'll get the pattern in with your kit as well. So it is called the Susurrus shawl, and it's linked through, it's in the link in our profile, or it's going to be one of the products. If you click there, it says products featured in our Instagram live, and it'll take you straight there. So there's that, but then we also have on the Irish, this is a Townhouse offering in terms of kits. Then we have the Gambit cardigan, which is a beautiful pattern by Wool and Pine. But this cardigan kit is made with Irish Artisan yarns. Well, sorry, our version, or our suggested yarn for it, is Irish Artisan yarn. There are some skeins left of this special edition colour, which is called St. Patrick's Day. Or it could just be St. Patrick. I don't know. Thank you. So you could make that, but we also have some other absolutely gorgeous shades from Tara, and all of those again are on pre-order. So it means that whatever size kit you want to get, you're not going to worry about the things running out. They'll be dyed just to order for you. So we have put the dates in. Obviously it'll be a couple of weeks before they ship, but you'll be able to get the 10% discount on that too. So that's the Gambit cardigan and the Susurrus shawl.
And you'd be sorted for autumn.
Sorted, you would, yes. So there's some really, really nice shades in that, but I'll just show it one more time. It's up on the website, and there's no need for a code or anything like that. It has been discounted by
automatic deduction
10%. Yes, and then later on we'll have a code on something else, but you have to stay tuned. So let us invite Tara on, because I want to dig into your questions so we can find out more. And there's some really good questions, actually. Few little challenges in the mix. Now, where are we? Tara, here we go. Accept. Oh.
Hey.
Oh, there she is. Hello. You're very welcome virtually into This Is Knit. So,
you know, I suddenly realised I've actually never done a joint live, so this is exciting.
Never ever.
No, I've done a live, but not a joint one. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Well, this, yeah. Well, you have to.
Sorry, I'm taller than Lisa.
We have to readjust the camera here so that everybody can appear in the screen. So you're in your gorgeous studio.
I am. Yeah.
Out there. Yes. Do you want to just introduce yourself quickly? Let people know a little bit about your background.
So yeah, I am Tara, and I am the hand dyer person behind Irish Artisan Yarn. We are based in the north, so Bangor, County Down, and this is 2 studios. One as a dye studio, and then one as like a little shop, as we call it, because we couldn't think of another name for it.
It's lovely.
So yeah, no, it's nice. It's a good space, and we're located just beside the sea, so a lot of the colours are inspired by the sea.
I will let you speak about your gorgeous shades. I've just picked up 3 here. So we got Rosnola, and then Donegal, very classic, and Orlock. So am I right? You go out and you take photographs in these places, and then
I'm always inspired by landscape. So you'll see that every single colorway is inspired by a place. They're all named after those places. Try and get to as many of them as possible. Obviously, COVID made it a bit difficult for a few years, but yeah. So I've always been like that. So probably 12 years I've been sort of inspired by the landscape, from when I did my textile degree all the way through to now. So.
They really come across, and they're just such a popular range in the shop as well. So we stock basically a special range from you, which is the DK tweed. So it's exclusive to us and not available elsewhere, which we like.
It's like hair flick there.
Yeah.
That's what you're missing.
But it is nice, and it's a very versatile yarn that's perfect for, like, I've seen people make like lovely comfy slipper socks in it, and lots of accessories and garments and stuff as well. So, but on place names then, Jen, you have a place name element to your yarns, but not the colours. So
yeah, I've done the opposite thing. We've named all of our bases, all the yarn bases, around street names in the Creative Quarter. Now this is how it started, because This Is Knit is in a location which is called the Creative Quarter. So you would have a lot of independent companies
within for the Grafton Street, sort of George's Street area.
It's all fashion textiles, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we decided to start naming them. So there was Grafton Street, obviously the shopping street, Clarendon, which is that one.
Yeah, the next one over.
The next
They're all
one over.
parallel. Yeah.
Trinity,
Fade Street.
Fade.
Yeah. And then,
Did I say Drury already?
No.
Drury. Yeah, so
so that's the
Yeah.
like that's the convention. I think what you find is people with hand dyed ranges like sometimes would name them like in different ways, that you kind of, rather than by the fiber content or whatever. So sometimes if you don't know the geography of the area, like we have to end up kind of explaining, okay, now this is the building on the front of the labels, and then all of the ranges are named around the neighboring streets and things like that. So that's it. So we all have that geographical element in the ranges. But I'm going to get over, without rambling on too much, I'm going to go to the questions that we got from other people. So in no particular order, we'll go to Tara first. Can you remember the first colour you ever dyed, and would you still sell it today?
Yes, so it's funny, I was actually thinking about this the other day. So the first colour I ever dyed, which I do still sell because I know that you have it, was Ballyhome. So we live within walking distance to Ballyhome, and one evening my parents were out and there's this amazing sunset, so they took photos, because at that time I lived just outside London, and they sent it to me and they were like, Tara, this would be the most amazing yarn, because I was kind of thinking, will I set up this business, will I not? So that was the first colour I ever dyed, and to this day it's still been one of the most popular. So yes, and that's, you still dye it.
It really stands out on the shelves, I have to say. People are just like, oh. It looks slightly like a cocktail to me, you know, it sort of fades in. But that's just the way my brain works. So.
not doing much for the Irish stereotype
no,
there.
Not so much. So Jenny, go on ahead. I feel like I'm on blind date now. The same question to dyer number one. Can you remember the first colour you ever dyed? And we just sell it.
Okay, I don't remember.
Oh,
right. Oh. Because this was, I'm thinking about this nearly 9 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I do have with me my original dye book, right? The battered and bruised original dye book. So I went back to page number 1.
Okay, I'm really curious now.
And it was something called Dewberry Twist, which sounds like it should be called an ice cream. An ice
Cocktail.
Stop it. An ice cream flavour. But the second one was Acid Crush. Do you remember that, like fuchsia pink? Now that sounds more like something I would do because I was obsessed with pink.
Yeah.
Obsessed.
Are you still obsessed with pink? A little bit. We've had to kind of squeeze the pink out of her a little bit.
So like, stop dyeing pink. Now, but sorry, the other interesting thing that I found out, page number 4, okay, of my very first dye book, right, was a yarn I called futuristic, right?
Okay.
Bear with me.
Yeah.
I'll be quick. So I speckled a yarn, right?
Yeah.
Back in 2014, don't ask me when speckles became a thing, but
okay.
Back in 2014, I brought it into Lisa.
Yeah.
It was like black, blues, and purples, like, and I showed it to her. I said, "What do you think of this?" And she says, "It looks unfinished."
Oh,
right. So I went back. I over dyed it with grey, right? So you can still see the speckles, but a lot of grey in it. Yeah. Not long after that, speckled yarn became a thing.
Oh, okay.
But she told me it looked unfinished, so.
I've been put in my place. Here, you do the rest of this.
But I just thought, I was like, hold on, that's like page number 4, like back in the summer of 2014.
Okay.
And I called it futuristic. I was ahead of the times. Didn't even know it.
Oddly enough, the next question is, what's the biggest mistake you made in your hand dyeing career so far? But I should say, what was the biggest mistake I made in my yarn shop career so far? Okay, Tara, what do you think about that one? What's the biggest mistake you made? Or...
I was thinking about it. I mean, I don't know about Jenny, but I always like, sometimes happy mistakes happen all the time. You're like, oh, definitely thought I did that right. But in terms of a mistake, I thought for me would probably be not committing to having a studio space sooner. For me, I found the distinction between working from home, dyeing in the kitchen sink, to then having a normal weekend was very difficult. And for me, that would be my mistake, like not sort of investing in that area of having a space, whether it's like a bedroom, doesn't have to be like, I never rented space, you know, I had a converted garage, I've now got 2 built studios at home, you know, so it's not like I went and rented a big shop. But yeah, for me that would be it.
To make though, isn't it, you know, sort of from that the kitchen sink dye, and I'll bring in one of the other questions later on, which was like, did you both start in your kitchens at home and I suppose that's a good, you know, question. When did you know, or you say you should have known earlier, but when did you know that it was the right time to leap on, Jenny? To upgrade.
How long did I do in the kitchen for? About a year?
Possibly, yeah.
I think, yeah, it was about a year in the kitchen, and it just got too much. Like, and then obviously I needed a bigger space, so then I built a shed in the back garden, which we got somebody to do as a wedding present.
It's nice.
There's a carpenter that we know. So that was a wedding present, and then I was in that for a few years. As well.
Yeah. And then the wasps drove her out.
I think I was in that for about 3 years, and then you get the wasps. If the wasp came in, I was gone.
Yeah.
Shut down for the day until the husband got home and sorted it out. So, but then, yeah, like that. Once I had my actual proper space that we rent now, I didn't know myself it was the best decision ever. But I've done silly things like let the water run, boil off, evaporate. That happened one time, and it never happened again.
I can see Tara's face going, yeah, she's been there.
So I got distracted, and so, yeah, I went back and I was like, oh, there's no water left in that pot. So.
Okay.
A little bit.
It's like health and safety.
I've left the dye on overnight and come back the next morning and gone, oh yes, whoops.
There's a certain smell, right?
Yeah.
That yarn's kind of stuck to the pot.
Oh, yeah. She never. That's the first time I'm hearing about that as well.
I was going to tell you about one batch.
No. Okay, so we've done mistakes, but let's focus on. I guess this is kind of similar. Like, you know, what the question was: at what point did you realize that dyeing yarn could be your full-time job? That it you know, that's a job description, and it was possible to make a living from it. Tara?
No, it's a good one. So I started, maybe, I don't know, I was working as a textile designer just outside London, and I was commuting. When I tell people this, especially Irish people, they're horrified. I commuted 5 hours driving a day for nearly 4 years, and I just was like, actually, this is not worth its time, you know. And I had this idea in the back of my head, but I had always come from it. I was a weaver, hand iron weaver, so I kind of was making all this yarn to then make an end product. And it was actually one of the local haberdashery shops who literally was like opposite our flat in England when I actually worked there. She said, you know, would you not sell the yarn? And I said, do people buy hand dyed yarn? I was like, really? And she gave me the encouragement, and I sort of did it on the side because obviously we all have bills to pay, and I was working, you know, a full-time job and a Saturday job, and then trying to do this in the evenings. And I think I did it for a year of like working, you know, all these different jobs. And then we decided to move back to Ireland, actually 3 months before lockdown, not knowing obviously what was going to happen. And that was when I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and make it work. And it is a huge leap. I'd saved loads of money, you know, and I was like, I'm just going to go for it. Hopefully it works.
Deep breath and dive in.
Exactly. I mean, because I was at that point where I was like, I want to produce more. Probably Jenny experienced that, but you don't have time to produce more. Like, how can you fulfill stuff? So, I mean, it was the best decision. Don't get me wrong, it was scary, but I mean, I'm so grateful that I did it and went with it. I had very supportive parents. I'm sure some people thought I was mad leaving a salaried job to set up a business, but
I just can't imagine that you took the full-time job that you were doing, the 5-hour commute, and then you added a part-time job into the mix as well. So
the week, and then did this in the evenings and a Sunday. But when you love something, I suppose it doesn't always feel like work. So I actually really enjoyed dyeing the yarn, you know, and I was like, oh, I get to go and do this. So
yeah, I think it started off as playtime for you, right?
Like a little bit. It was you know, I wanted to, you know, put my stamp on this is knit as well, do you know, like, so it might have started out as I felt like I had something to prove. But no, I've always been creative and like loved art and hairdressing and stuff like that, so I've always liked to work with my hands, and so I got interested in the color side of things, but it very quickly became an obsession. And then I was working here 4 days a week and then going home and dyeing the yarn on my days off, and then in the evenings as well. And then when we built the shed, sometimes I could be up there till midnight.
Yeah.
The husband's like, "You coming in?" Maybe in a little while.
And it was like that because you were here, and it was like the yarn shop job was or your primary role,
Yes.
and then it was the Townhouse Yarns, and then it just kind of grew and grew that we ended up having to get somebody to replace her in here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that once I moved into the actual proper studio, so moved out with the shed, and into the proper studio. I think she still wanted me to work one day a week, and I was like, I actually can't. So,
yeah. We had to be realistic about it. That's okay.
But like, I was commuting about 3 hours a day to come in here, so it's just.
No, I feel you. Okay, we'll go from there. There was something that I was going to ask just there on top of that. No, okay, it'll come back to me. Sorry, I shouldn't try and ad-lib this. I've got questions.
Stick to the script, woman.
Okay. No, it'll come back. I want to. Is there anything that you have learned the hard way, and what advice would you give your past self if you could go back in time?
1 second, let me just
get my notes.
I don't know about Jenny, but it was quite, some of the questions are really good, quite oh, I have to really think about that. I don't know if I've actually thought about that.
That's a bit juicy. Well, okay, no, we can pass that on to Jen to start with. So
yeah.
Want to buy me again?
So is there anything that you learned the hard way, and what advice would you give to yourself in the past if you could travel back in time to make things a little easier?
Buy a spin dryer sooner. Was what I wish I had done.
Yeah.
I was doing it in the washing machine and in pillowcases and buy a spin dryer.
Actually, that investment in equipment, I think, is a really key thing, isn't it? If you're going to take the leap and become a dyer that's producing at scale, then I know what it is. It's about in-person sales. Remind me. Sorry, it's coming back. But yeah, that you don't have to do it the hard way. Essentially,
So the equipment,
no, it will pay itself back. Yeah. Yes,
for sure.
So, would you agree, Tara?
I do, yeah, because it took me a while to buy a skein twister. And then when I bought it, I was like, I can't believe I used to sit and do this every evening, especially when it came to Advent season, and you'd be like hundreds of minis. And I was like, this is crazy. So that was a really good piece of equipment. And then you kind of I should have got that earlier.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about sort of how do I describe this? So there's different bases, and one of the things I learned, I don't know, but when you obviously dye on different bases, it comes out differently. But I remember being like, oh, I'll try this base and this base and this base, and then you'd be like, oh, that doesn't look the same on we do a lot of things, and not for you, but with IOI we do a lot of alpaca and silk blends, and it's amazing how the different bases. So I remember a mistake would be committing to a customer, I can dye that color on that base, and then you go to dye it and be like, oh, it looks nothing like that. What's going on? So that was probably something I would tell my past self to trial it all out on every base before you commit to it.
And there's some colors that you'll find that they just will not work no matter what you do, right? It's just this, because someone will look at your range and say, well, this is your full color as you offer it, why can't I get it in there? And you just have to be able to stand behind it and say, it's not a failing of technique or anything, it's just that doesn't match with that, it's just never going to work, so to have that confidence to say, I know that they're not a good fit, So.
Our alpaca silks are always so sort of pale, but that's the beauty of dyeing an alpaca silk blend. You're never going to get how I dye, you never get that sort of really, really dark.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Oh, I imagine that would just take so much time to achieve.
And dye.
Yeah, time and dye. At this point at which it's not commercially viable either, on a hand dye basis, I think. Getting very technical on that's it. Sorry, so the question we were talking about, that you working in the shop for one day a week, and I think for you, Tara, the going out to shows and stuff, hopefully that have you been back, have you done any in-person shows since?
Not I'm trying to think. No, not this year. I've got quite a few planned. I think I've got nearly 10 different events this year.
That's a lot. Okay, I'll get our order in now after this.
I was counting them up, being like, oh, it's quite a lot.
But I was going to say about getting that. It doesn't have to be in-person feedback, but that direct feedback from a customer on your product, can be really energizing. I think
I do miss that part of not being here. Just seeing the reactions and getting that feedback from people and seeing their finished projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is lovely when someone wanders in, you know, not wanders in, they come in and they're sort of going like this. You're like, what I made, you know. So it is. It's. I think because actually, wasn't there a question there about do you ever get burnt out doing that? I mean, is that the case? Or I know sometimes, like, we all get burnt out. I mean, even though this is like one of the most wonderful jobs in the world, like there has to be a point like where like sometimes you've overcommitted, or you know, so, like you have obviously family lives and everything to balance. But I think that one-on-one feedback, do you find that energizes you, Tara?
Definitely. Like, I think at the beginning of lockdown it was like this new thing to sell online, and online became really exciting, but then after a while you're like, actually it's really sad that I don't get to speak to people and let them touch the bases and let them see the colors in real life. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that, because it is really, like you said, it's sort of a proud moment when you see someone wear something that you've dyed. And always it amazes me how a customer could buy the same color and they come up with completely different things they make, and it just suits what they're, you know, about, their personality. You know, someone will have a shawl and something, or someone will make a garment. So yeah, I'm looking forward.
Pair it with a color that's completely unexpected, that you would never have put together, and you're just like, you like, so there's a wonderful feedback loop of inspiration, you know. So
I
this
do miss shows.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do everybody. There's 122 people watching, so if you've used a dyer's yarn and you produce something wonderful, let them know. Like, send them some feedback, because like, put smiles on their faces, like you see just.
So I look at the reviews on the This Is Knit website.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, so that was that.
But sorry, I get burnt out, but not from dyeing. Well, sorry, what I've lost from doing so much dyeing is my knitting, because I don't want to go home and do more. You know?
Yeah,
so I'm burnt out in that way.
Your mojo
is gone, but I think it's just because I'm surrounded by yarn and color all day. I'm just like, oh, I want to shut off when I go home.
And then I haven't knitted in ages, and then I found when I do knit, I'm like, well, I should knit in my yarn because then I can use it as a sample. And it's this like cycle of like, oh well, I don't actually switch off from that side.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I'm always knitting, obviously, in projects from the shop as well, you know, and there's times when the mojo goes, and you know, and then you'll know when it happens, because we'll get a new yarn in, and then I'll be like, oh, I want to make with this. but it is you're constantly kind of thinking about like, okay, oh, I must take a photo at this stage, or I must, you know, record a tutorial, you know, from my side. But yeah, it's still work. It's very pleasant work, but you do have to give your brain a break from it every now and then, you know.
And I think, so just to note on the burnt out thing, like, yarn dyeing is a physical job. You know, you're on your feet well most of the day. I mean, I love it, but I remember, because I've had 2 pregnancies and I remember like being like, this is actually really difficult, like lifting this wet yarn, spin drying, you know. I don't think you realise sort of how physical it is. So you do have those days sometimes where, I can definitely have a burnout day sometimes.
And that is something for, you know, like people who might be considering kind of becoming hand dyers or getting into that themselves, is to be aware of that. It is extremely labor intensive, and you've got to get some systems in place, you know, to try and streamline those processes and stuff, so that you're not doing those repetitive motions and damaging yourself ultimately.
Tennis elbow.
The skein winder is the thing, right? Yes.
Yeah. Get all the tools. They are worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have a bit of fun with color then. Do you want to show us? Somebody asked about color combinations. What is your favorite? She's going to go choose some. Tara, if you want to show us maybe 2 of your favorite color combinations from your range, that'd be amazing.
Okay. So, well, they're 2, but they're sort of, I'll explain. They are 2, but I added a little few. So I did it in the yarn that is available by you guys, the DK Tweed. So my favorite, probably, I am a purpley, pinky, bluey. So this is Port New, which Lisa probably has in front of her. I don't know.
No, I brought Snola there.
This is Skerries. So I love this combination together, but also this is the limited edition. This is Knit colorway. So I really like that sort of a bluey purpley combination.
That'd be nice. Almost like a fade if you put the purple first, and then This Is Knit, and then down. Yeah, I like that. Very nice.
And then the other combination I quite liked, again, I picked a purpley one, but I'll show you different ones. So this is Dunfanaghy. So Dunfanaghy this was probably the 2nd or 3rd colorway I dyed. And we go there every year, a very special place in all my family's hearts. And I thought with Ballantoy that was quite a nice, because it picked out the sort of bluey purple in there.
It's gorgeous.
Or again, you could
definitely see the blue is your theme. You enjoy it, get on well.
Yeah, those sort of colours are my, probably pinks as well, you know.
Gorgeous.
But that's fair. Oh, I feel Jenny running around
here. While she's showing her, she's the same, is have a little scroll back through the comments, because I asked people to call it and give you back, so they've done lovely words through. Okay,
so my first combination is something that we chose for a shawl. You're so small. Something that we chose for a shawl sample for the shop, and that is Bonfire and Peach Marguerite. It was like a happy accident. We were playing around with something to go with this. I think Bonfire was a new color at the time, and we wanted a sample in it, and we were looking to pair it with something. And we did, what was the name? It was a Sosu shawl. Slice of Light. So I love that one. And I do like pink. And so I've just chosen this off the shelf. And it is Shimmer and Mojito. Mojito was part of the Fade into Spring kit, which was the new colors that we released last spring, summer. But I just love how happy they are.
They're beautiful.
Happy.
Thank you. And then the cocktail theme resurfaces with Mojito.
Like a Mojito. I'm sorry, it just screams mint Mojito.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so at the one or two more questions, but what I'll do is I'll jump in with the pre-order offer for everybody now who's stuck with us. So what we're going to do is we're opening up pre-orders on the beautiful DK Tweed from Tara, which means that across the whole range, any single color at all that you would like to order, you can do it, and Tara's going to get busy at the dye pots. We will send her the order on Monday, so you have until Sunday to have a look at the shades, to order your Gambit kit if you want to make that gorgeous cardigan, and that's automatically discounted at 10%. But if you order 4 or more skeins of the DK Tweed, then you can enter in the code, which is Patrick 10. I need to get that right. Patrick, and then the digit 10, or digits 10. You know what I mean. Patrick 10. We will pop it up after this and everything. So you just need to order 4 skeins or more, and then enter Patrick 10, and you will get a 10% discount on those pre-orders. So, but look at the gorgeous colors. Just look at the beautiful things that you can get. And then on Jenny's side, we're keeping it to 1 base on the pre-order, just to make things manageable, because we were talking about processes and not killing ourselves. So thanks, Aisling. Aisling's put it up there. So Patrick 10. So the base that we've chosen is Clarendon sock, which is not just for socks, for garments, for shawls, and for socks. So if you order 10 or more, 4 or more skeins of Clarendon sock, thank you very much. And then you can use the code Patrick10 at checkout, and that you will get 10% off on that pre-order. So they are all up there. So stay with us for a couple more questions, a little bit more chat. But after that, jump on over to the website and have a look at what's there. So it's Clarendon sock from Townhouse Yarns,
which is a merino cashmere nylon mix with a high twist.
There you go. Do you want to grab a skein? Yeah. All right, Tara, while she's grabbing a yarn, when you first started dyeing, how did you reach out to other hand dyers for support, or where did you get like your information on the how-tos or what's involved? I mean, you're trained and you came up through the textile industry as well, so I imagine the answer is probably a bit different, but go ahead.
No, probably it's a bit different, because I actually went to university and I studied dyeing. That's what my degree was, dyeing and weaving, which is crazy, because you kind of think, how am I going to get a job in this? And I worked as a dyer and weaver, but then ended up selling the yarn. I didn't even really know, this sounds too like, I didn't reach out to other dyers, because I didn't even know there's such a massive community until I went to my first show, which was Unravel in February 2019. And like, that's when I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy how many people there are here. You know, it just was, I don't know, completely a whole nother world. But I think a lot of Googling. I'm big into sort of research and seeing you know, that there was hopefully a future in turning it into a business.
Sorry, Skippy has just commented. Skippy is a regular, well, regular-ish. She comes
regular
into the
for somebody
shop,
who lives in the States.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Got it. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's no, I don't really have much more to say. I was just saying that's how I started, and with the whole
Were you
reaching out.
at Yarnporium in November 2019? No. Okay. I'm sure there was, yeah, okay. I'm thinking of somebody else then. Because I was sure I'd come across your range at a show before, let's say, Woolen.
Unless I did have stockists, unless maybe a stockist went and took it. I don't know.
Could have been, yeah. So.
But yeah, and that was the other thing, like learning all about how far in advance you have to apply for shows. Because obviously, when you set up the business, you pretty much have a year where you can't really do a show because you have to have applied, at least 9 months in advance. So it's like all those things.
But that's it. You learn on the job.
That's what I like. Self-taught. I bought one book which was basically more like about color theory, which a lot of I would have kind of known from the hairdressing side of things. And then I just some YouTube videos, but really it was I'm just going to play around, and like I'm not very much a rule follower, which Lisa would agree with.
No comment.
I was like, there is no rules. I can do what I want, and if it produces something pretty, that's all good. But I didn't I don't lean too much into the science of it. I don't know whether you do, Tara, but
Well, it's funny because my background was all the science. So like some of the things we used to do, I remember I was telling someone we would be given yarn and we wouldn't be told what composition it is, and we'd have to work out what the composition was. Like they were the types of things I was doing in my degree, and I studied weaving, but from the beginning you weren't allowed to buy any yarn that was dyed, so everything was bare and you had to dye anything you wanted to use, which in hindsight was the best training because that's what I do now as a full-time. But I remember there was very few degrees where you would actually not be allowed to buy coloured yarn. You'd have to dye it all. So yeah, ours was so technical. We had a dye lab. It was like science, which is weird because I hated science skills, so I don't know.
I know someone's going to ask, is that degree still running, and where did you do it?
It is. So I did it at UCA, University for the Creative Arts in Farnham. I think the campus has now moved to Epsom, but it's still the same university. An amazing course. I loved it, so highly recommend it. I do sometimes guest lecture there, so if you do it,
good.
Yeah, I didn't know such a thing existed even, so, but I think that's like, it's wonderful to spread the word, and certainly for anybody, who's really interested in like being thrown in at the deep end, I think it sounds like. But yeah, just you'd learn so much, wouldn't you? So
I loved it so much I even did a master's, and I was the type of person who never wanted to go to university, so it was a good degree because I stayed there for 6 years.
That's a really good side. Good side. So Jenny, do you want to show the Clarendon sock just so you have that?
Clarendon. Maybe I should have chose a less colourful one.
No, it's nice to show colours. It comes in semi-solids and speckles. Comes in speckles as well, I believe.
that don't look unfinished.
Never gonna comment down, Lisa.
I'm never ever going to live that down. Now, in my defense,
I can say this. She's my sister.
Yeah. In my defense, I went to the Vogue Knitting Live a couple of years back, and it got to the stage where I bought, like, you've got a fair size stash, and like we said about, you have to knit with the things that you're selling. You want to make samples, and I brought home one skein, right? And I bought other things like accessories and badges and bits and bobs, but I brought home one skein of yarn, and it was a skein, and it was down low in a booth. And very sort of, it was like everything was just merino singles everywhere. This was January 18. Yeah, so it was just, everything was merino singles, right? And I picked up the skein. It was Feederbrook Farm, and it was which is very, it's very, very like spin cycle, right? Barbara Pull, yeah, dyed in the fleece, spun, everything, and Feederbrook is still out there and everything. But that was the one skein of yarn that I brought back, and it was about 9 months, 12 months before just spin cycle erupted. Now what I didn't do was get an account with spin cycle, which I should have done. But anyway, that can happen. So that's my defense.
We all make mistakes.
That's my defense. Okay. Okay, right. How do you choose? Yeah, there's someone asked about your favorite fibers to dye, and then another person said, how do you choose the types of raw materials to work with, as there's so many kind of different breeds and options?
So for me, it's all about feel, because I am a big thing about what it feels against my skin. So we do a British wool, but I think people sometimes who are maybe used to like a merino or alpaca, then when they feel the British wool, they're like, oh, that's not soft against my skin. So for me, it's a lot about feel, and then who we buy our yarn from. I quite like knowing the history of. They have a relationship with the community, so a lot will come from Peru, and they will work with the families there, and they're able to trace just to know where like the sheep come from and how they're sheared and everything like that. So that's really important to me as well. As much as I'd love to do an Irish yarn, and it's still in the back burner, I just cannot find something that is soft enough for people to, you know, want to make a sweater out of.
It is a challenge, isn't it? You know, where you kind of you have that desire to make that difference and to produce something more local. It's and it's supply as well. You know, it's difficult to actually get a reliable feed in of those things. So, and Jenny.
Feel as well. We would generally kind of just request samples of certain yarns that we think might be a good addition to the range, and then we dye them, try knit with them a little bit and see what we prefer, basically. But definitely feel, if it doesn't feel nice, then I don't want to dye it. Lisa convinced me to do the Irish yarn.
It's lovely.
It takes Ulla number 2 is a it's just
100% lamb's wool.
It's 100% lamb's wool. It's not the rough. Ulla number 1 that we dyed was definitely rougher. This one is softer than the original Ulla, but it is very hard work to dye, I find, as well. The non-superwash yarns are much more labor intensive than the superwash yarns.
Completely. So, especially if you want a lot of variegated color, you know. I don't know how you dye it, but when I dye it, you know, if you want, sometimes it'll come out and you'll be like, oh, it's all just gone one color.
Yeah. Is it like the unreliability of a non-superwash yarn or pure wool is tough to deal with, especially
to get the repeatability.
Yes, especially if you're dyeing in large batches and stuff like that. So that's what I found. So yeah, as hand dyeing goes, I think definitely the superwash yarns are my favorite. Would have to be Fade Street, the superwash merino and silk, and it is a single ply, but it just dyes beautifully. So if I was to dye one thing for the rest of my life, it would be Fade Street.
Very good. I just saw the question pop up. Somebody asked, what's a single? And this is what we mean, is that it's a single ply yarn. So there's no additional twist, basically. Usually when yarn fibers are spun, there's first layer of twist put into them. I'm probably not using all of the correct technical terms. And then you'll get something like, let's say Tara's yarn here, where you can see there's a rope effect. So that there's singles that have been counter twisted against each other. And that's a plied yarn versus a singles yarn, essentially. So singles are great for drapey projects, for shawls, for a bit of glamour, for I'm trying to think about things.
Yeah, you wouldn't be making socks.
Don't make socks. Yeah, so that's just plied yarns are generally stand up to more wear and tear. Yes, yeah. So, but you can still get beautifully soft. You know, it's not to say the plied yarns aren't soft and drapey. It's just that like singles have that.
Well, the silk and that helps, but
it does. It does. Okay, so let's see. How do we do? We did that. And your favorite fibers to dye.
Sorry, I jumped ahead.
You know, you're okay. You're okay. Well, we're nearly there. How did you get so good at this? Do you want to do that first?
Practice. I was like, if you looked back, way back in 2014, I've improved, but that's a practice.
Yeah.
Lots of notes.
But your style will change over time as well. You know, your approach and your consistency and.
I think like there's certain dyers that you will look at their yarn without it, say it had no labels on it, and you'd know who that was. And like definitely yours, Tara, I would know by your style, and I hope that people would mine as well. So I think I've found my style now.
Is it all about practice for you, Tara, too?
Yeah, practice. I mean, I think I still probably, you know, learning every day, like different things. But I think another thing, it's like the 2 P's, practice and passion. Sounds really, but like, yeah, I think, you know, you're passionate to like make it work and like, you know, so yeah.
And I add one, persistence.
Yeah.
3 P's.
3 P's.
We've missed our calling as motivational speakers, us 3. But there you go. That's all it takes. A bit of passion, persistence, and
Practice.
no
Planning? Practice? What was it? We've forgotten about it. Forget what she said about
Wasn't it practice? I think you said practice.
passion, practice, and persistence.
And persistence. There we go.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, this is the content you guys tune in for. Absolutely. So that's kind of where we were at with the pre-submitted questions. I don't know, Tara, if there's anything else that you want to add before we sign off.
No, all I was going to say was thank you so much for stocking the DK tweed. It's lovely to know that it's stocked down there and that everyone enjoys it.
They do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jenny's just
I'm
trying
just
to flick
going
back through questions here. That's so you can see the intense.
Oh,
the intense.
I'm not wearing my glasses, so I'm super close.
Jane said it was patience, so that's
And patience too. Yes.
Is it harder to dye Aran?
interesting.
Do you know what?
Like pure wool,
Yeah.
heavier wool, like it's more labor intensive. It's not like the pure wool is harder to get consistency, but I don't think that any different weight yarn is harder than the other, in my opinion.
No, I would agree with you. I think I saw that comment about dyers maybe not doing it as much. I don't know if it's maybe just value for cost, because you're going to pay the same amount for a skein as you will for a 4-ply skein, and you'll obviously get far less meterage. You know, you're in the 100 and something meterage, so you need X amount more, so then it becomes a more expensive garment item. I don't know, maybe that's why would be my thoughts.
But we did the Westbury worsted, which we had specially spun, and I didn't. There was no more work that went into it. It's just it was the cost, like you said. It's a much more expensive thing to produce.
Very special projects.
Yes, very special projects.
Yes. So, and we do see some hand dyers doing full-on chunkies as well, and you know, like they're there, but even like the larger operations like Malabrigo or whatever, you know, like it you get that scheme, but you know, you might need 2 for a hat even, you know, it's just you're creating that thick of a fabric. You just have to put in more material in order to get where you're going, you know. So there's practicality, and actually, like I think one of the things you said earlier on, Tara, about at the start, kind of, I like that base, I like that base, I like that base, and trying different things. Possibly a mistake that some dyers do make as well when they start is that they offer too many ranges that they just simply can't keep stocked. So, you know, a judgment has to be made somewhere along the lines of, like, you know, what are the most popular, what are people going to be coming for again and again, and maybe it just isn't those thicker yarns, you know.
Yeah
Exactly. How many yarns do you have in your range, Tara?
So like the core range, I think, I knew you were going to ask me this and I'm quickly going in my head. I think we have 5 in the core range, I like to call it, and then we have like a few that I will do, like, so this one I'm wearing has a yak blend, but I wouldn't stock this all the time. But it's interesting, I was actually thinking I do not stock a singles. Isn't that interesting? Maybe just never, I don't know, just drawn to different sort of yarns, but because I could have loved singles, but I suppose that you have to cut them down somewhere. And then have the base for you guys and then different, but I think like there's so many bases out there you could stock like loads, but I think the best one we have, which is nice, which is like very different, but I'll show you, is it's got silk, but it's a merino bamboo silk blend, so that's sort of the one that will never go, shall we say.
Very good. Yeah, there's always one, isn't there? That is just that's that close to your heart. Tara, is your studio open for visitors?
Yes, so we are set up to not open like Monday to Friday, but if you want to DM me, you're very welcome to come and have a private shopping experience, shall we call it that.
That's fantastic, and I think you're welcoming tour groups as well, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to do pop-ups up there wherever they are staying, which will be fun.
You're taking yourself and
I'm going to, in like for an evening, which will be quite nice actually, quite a nice experience, sort of a leisurely the knitting tour. So thank you for hooking me up with them. So they're coming up north, so I think we've got 4 set up so far, so
fantastic.
Be nice.
And they're always lovely people on those tours, so you'll have a great time with them. Okay, well with that I will remind people that you can grab the Sasura shawl kits at 10% off, the Gambit cardigan kits featuring the DK tweed from Tara, also 10% off, and any of the colours in the DK Tweed range or the Clarendon sock range, if you're ordering 4 or more skeins, then you can get 10% off with the code Patrick10, and that's going to run through to Sunday. So thank you everybody for joining us. I will sign off with one last comment that wasn't a question. It says, not a question, but a big thank you for all the lovely colours that bring us knitters joy.
Oh,
Oh,
they're
so
lovely.
I know, they're so good.
So nice.
It is. So I hope that like refreshes your mojo, everybody, or tops it up that was already doing pretty good. And keep doing the good work. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you, Tara, and thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Happy St. Patrick's week.
Yeah, enjoy the long weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.